Hi, you guys. I just got back from the screening of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, and I thought I would just jump into doing a review even though I look like crap while everything is fresh in my mind. As you can probably see, I went in character dressed as supposed to be Hermione, so I'm kind of trying to do the bushy haired look, even though she didn't really have bushy hair in the movies, but kind of mixing movie costume and if you can see Gryffindor's emblem right there, that with the bushy hair from the book. So I don't know if it works, but I did get a t-shirt for my troubles, which I did have to show you, and it looks like my sister has moved it, and I'm not gonna go look for it now, but yeah. Deathly Hallows Part 2. What can I say? My main thought after watching it, disappointment. I'm really sorry to say that was what I got throughout watching the whole thing, scene after scene, disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. I had quite a few problems with it. For one part, it was way too short. It didn't feel like it was its own movie. I felt like it was over before it even started. I know it was the shortest movie in the series, but before I saw it, I thought, that was going to be okay since there wasn't that much left to do in the book and there would have been enough time. I don't know. It felt too short. It seemed like they could have used plenty of time to, develop in more detail some of the ongoing storylines that were in it, but they didn't. So that was one thing. Also, it didn't feel like it was connected to Deathly Hallows Part 1. As I said before, that is my favorite of the movies so far. And after the end of that, I was really, really expecting a lot. And I know whenever I have high expectations for stuff, they always kind of go like that for me. And I should have known, I should have learned my lesson with other stuff, but this did not feel like it was a continuation of that part one. It had a totally different tone and look to it. It almost felt like it was a continuation of the Half-Blood Prince movie. And you know how I thought about that. It had the same kind of look. And the music sounded kind of the same. They did reuse a lot of stuff from the earlier movies too. But a lot of really awkward dialogue scenes that we had in Half-Blood Prince were used again in this, where a character would say a line of dialogue and then it was like there was no direction for the other characters in the scene who were not the main focus at the time. They wouldn't really have a reaction or, a response. They would just kind of stare. Like that in the background, just standing around staring. A lot of standing around just looking without saying stuff. Very, very, very awkward. That was going on for like 90% of the movie. In terms of a book adaptation is probably where I had the most problems with it, but I can't say that is the only thing. I had problems with it on its own as a movie as well. It made me want to go back and reread the book because it's full of epic awesomeness in the end, in the whole Hogwarts battle. And in this, it just wasn't. Everything fell flat. Like I said, all of the awkward dialogue moments, and it didn't feel natural. Not that the acting was bad, but it was partly the script, the dialogue that the characters were given, and the conversations didn't flow. The direction too, or lack thereof, which, one character would be doing something, but then everybody else is like, what do we do? Let's just stand around here and look. That really, really bothered me. Changing stuff. Some of the best parts of all the books were in here in the last part of Deathly Hallows, the book, and things were changed in the movie, and we got bits and pieces of the action and all of the epic awesomeness from the book, but it was didn't work. It was kind of disjointed. You would get a little bit of a cool scene, and that would be it. Kind of like the same stuff that we saw in the trailers a million times, where it makes you think that it's going to be part of a bigger, really awesome scene, but then it won't be. It will just be, that's it, the little clip that you see. That will be the whole cool thing in its entirety. And I don't want to give too many specific spoilers, but if you see the movie, hopefully you will know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about shipping, just another random thought in my head. Really, really awkward. Apparently, Neville and Luna is a thing now, because Neville throughout the whole movie was like trying to confess his love to Luna, and then they ended up just sharing an awkward look. Kind of bizarre, out of nowhere, after J.K. Rowling specifically shot that down. I don't know if she changed her mind or they just decided screw it and did it anyway. Really weird, because I thought that the movies always seemed like they were going more towards Harry Luna than anything. They had some really good scenes together, and they had some in this too. The whole Harry Ginny thing is a continued epic failure, and they don't talk or anything. They see each other, stare, say a couple words, and then they have a really quick peck, kiss in one part. That's the one that you see in all of the trailers. That's it. If you think that's part of something longer, no, that's really it. And then they walk away. And then he doesn't even go back to see her at the end until you don't see her again until that vlog. Okay. It's for the Ron and Hermione romance, which you would have thought would have been handled better, because it has been in the other movies. It was in the book too in the first place, but anyway. In part 1, 2, really good setup. In this, it was just kind of like their epic kiss scene supposedly that everyone was waiting for was really kind of anticlimactic. And I remember reading an interview where Rupert Grint actually said it was going to be that way, and I'm like, yeah, right. And I saw him like, yeah, you're right. First of all, Ron's hair was covering it most of the time, so for all we know, it might have just been a stage kiss. There might not even have been any lip touching involved there. There was out of nowhere, nothing really leading up to it, nothing really after it. They had some holding hands scenes and hugging, that kind of stuff. Mostly everything we've already seen from all the trailers and clips. Nothing really new with that besides the actual kiss. Sorry to disappoint you. Going back to the acting, I think everyone was really good with what they were given to do. My problem wasn't with the actors, it was more with the script and the direction, so I can't fault any of the actors there. Everybody did a really good job, especially Matt Lewis, who plays Neville. Oh my god, he was so good. I felt like he could have had his own movie in this, and he was incredible in the book too, how his character grew and just became so brave and strong. Really, in this too, he really just was his time to shine. And yeah, I felt like they could have made a separate, Neville Longbottom movie. He was that good. Also, he's looking really, really smoking hot in real life now. If you've seen some of the latest pictures of him, he's pretty cute. The trio too, I felt like in Deathly Hallows Part 1, it was really Daniel Radcliffe / Harry was really overshadowed by the characters of Ron and Hermione in that one. But in this one, he really does take the lead, and they're just, they're the side characters that I guess they're meant to be. But after part 1, I don't know, it felt kind of weird. All of a sudden, they're just shuffled off. Like, they're not really that important. We get to see a lot of the old familiar faces at Hogwarts, like the teachers and students. But most of it is just cameos. We get Trelawney very briefly, Professor Sprout, Madame Pomfrey. We just really get to see their faces in reaction shots. Not really much of them in action at all, so that was pretty disappointing. The deaths and everything was pretty gruesome. Probably some of it even more so in the book. Some of the death scenes were changed. They weren't exactly the same. There is a character who is kind of ambiguous if he or she dies in the book. In this, they are clearly dead. It was kind of shocking to see. But then it was just passed over also, and it wasn't really dwelt on again. They didn't go back to it. That was kind of disappointing. I thought the ending I don't know. The ending, well, before the epilogue of the book to me always felt like a little bit too sudden. This I wasn't really that fond of either. The way the Elder Wand was dealt with, I could go into it in really, really specific spoilers, but I think I've been spoilery enough already. I'm just going to leave it at that. It was changed and made kind of confusing because then it left a bit of a plot hole. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Uh, just really, it kind of fell flat for me. The epilogue itself, I thought was better than I was expecting because the makeup, they went back and redid it for the main characters. Looked a lot better, the aging makeup and the CGI, than the original pictures that were released. So that was a bit of a relief to me, but some of the dialogue was changed in that too, which I did not like. They kept the dialogue that they kept in the epilogue, as with the rest of the movie, was really good. But everything that Stephen Clovis, the writer, changed, like to put in his own way, it did not work for me. I had problems with his dialogue also in Goblet of Fire. Some of the words the characters would say, I don't know, just didn't, it felt off. And I had the same kind of feeling here in this movie, in the epilogue and throughout the movie. So that was a big downer for me. The screening was in 3D, which it was good that I got to see the 3D for free, because after that I would say it is not worth it to spend the extra money on to see it in 3D. You know, they did the little bits that they had, because, you know, it was not shot as a 3D movie. The little bits that they had were done well enough, but, I mean, it's not enough to pay the extra, you know, $3 or however many dollars to go see it in 3D just for that. Sorry to say. Yeah, I feel like I have been rambling and complaining enough about this already. I'm really sorry to disappoint all of you guys who are really looking forward to this. I mean, no one is more disappointed than myself. Maybe my expectations were too high after all of the awesome clips and trailers and TV spots, which I can never help from watching any time a movie's released. I mean, now this is the last time, and it's over, and I thought I was going to be crying because it was over, and it was just, I thought it was going to be such an emotional, epic experience, and it really fell flat to me in a lot of ways. I don't think it was a horrible movie on its own, but it was lackluster, so to speak, just on the disappointing side. I don't even know, I would probably rate it a 6 out of 10. That's pretty low. It's pretty low on my list of movies. Hopefully, when I see it the second time at the midnight release, I will appreciate it more, but I really don't think so. You know, I can't get my money for those tickets back, and I'm going with a group, different people from who I saw it with tonight. So, I don't know. I hope my feelings change for the better. I'm not expecting them to. Uh, the movie, what I really feel like what bothered me, it felt like it was a big build up to nothing with little payoff, and that's what I felt like the Half-Blood Prince movie, the end. There was no payoff. There was no payoff in this either. A lot of it was changed with the battle scene, I guess, to make it look more cinematic or something like that, and didn't look right. Like the shot that we see in all the trailers of Harry and Voldemort falling off the edge of the tower. I mean, who cares about that? There was so much good stuff in the book that they took out and changed all of. Oh my god, I could go through and list a bunch of stuff right now which was really cool in the book and was just either left out or cut down to the bone in this, but I feel like I'm already spoiling enough, and I don't want to ruin this experience for everybody. Obviously, go and have a good time, but I felt like this was the last big Harry Potter thing. There's going to be no more books unless she does the encyclopedia, no more movies, this needed to go out with a bang, and from everything that I saw and heard leading up to it, I thought it was going to. And it didn't. Instead, it made me just want to reread the book to kind of get that out of my head. I feel like I want a do-over. I want I want to pretend this movie did not happen. I want to go back and rewatch it on midnight on Friday and see something totally different. See what the movie that I thought I was going to see. Unfortunately, I can't do that. I have a magic wand. I have some fake wands, but nothing that can really change that. I feel empty inside is how it left me. Empty, not sad, not nostalgic. I felt that way before the movie, but afterwards, I was just like, that's it. So, yeah, not the worst ever, but with my high expectations and with what it should have been, the epic finale and what it was, and I would probably give it a 6 out of 10 on its own. And as to what I was expecting, and compared with what I got, I would probably give that like a 3. But I'm just gonna go with a 6. Sorry to say, sorry everybody that I was totally expecting to just be gushing about all of the really cool things in this movie and how awesome and epic it was, and I am not. I'm really sad. I want to go back to yesterday. I've been looking forward to this forever, and I need to stop this video now. I'm gonna go back and reread the books. I think you guys should too. Have a good night.